All right, so I am back after answering questions of the people here that were visiting us. And if you are online, you're welcome to join to see what we're doing here at the Overland Expo. And I want to talk about our windows, the door, why we did what we did, and I want you to look at this door. This is well insulated. It's that thick, aircraft grade aluminum. There are two metal latches, one at the bottom, one at the top. So these latches are aircraft grade aluminum and highly insulated, well insulated, so you can actually hard mount stuff on the inside if you wanted. This is the outside. So when we design the hinges, I know when we go off-road, a lot of this stuff gets gunked up with dirt and mud and all that stuff. So I told them to put a grease zerk on it so you could squirt that dirt out by greasing it, and the door hinges always move smoothly, right? So there are three hinges on this. There's a little peak window, which is glass, dual pane glass, and the lock we use is a Trimark lock. It's a high quality lock. It's not your typical RV lock. It's like an automotive lock. So when you own one of these, Trimark, you register your key with the number. If you lose a key, Trimark will only give you a key that belongs to you because you're the owner. You can't make this key at Home Depot. That's not going to work. Now, on the inside, the door itself is finished with vinyl. This is just a finish, but behind it there's a panel so you can hard mount stuff. There's a locking mechanism, very simple. You just do that to open it, you just do that to lock it. There's a red signal here telling you it's locked. Push it back in. There's a curtain here that you can use to go up. You blind it out, or you can peek through it. Dual pane glass. There's no plastic stuff here. The door has an inbuilt seal, but then the door also has an external seal and an internal seal. So what that does is, you can see the width of this. No dirt is going to go inside. No water is going to go inside. There's an inbuilt blind that you can open like that, and you have a blind. It's all magnetic, so it will just magnetically do that. And to open it, you need to use some force because it's designed to. It's glued, but it's also bolted into the actual floor. When you close this door, don't be shy. Just do that. And the staircase folds in. This staircase, when I was talking to the supplier, I asked him how many cycles can you do, because now you can open the door. When you open the door, you have the staircase coming out, going back in. Is it going to last? So we have a motor that is metal gears. This motor does not have plastic stuff, and this staircase itself, if you hit a rock or whatever, it's not a problem. It's okay. It's going to take that beating if it needs to be beaten. And anything that will fail on this staircase ever, after the 40,000 cycles that the manufacturer tells me it has, is the motor itself, which you can easily source from Amazon, eTrailer, wherever. It's a standard component. It's not cheap. The staircase itself is very expensive, but it's expensive because it can hold 40,000 cycles. So anyway, we open the door, and that of course opened the staircase. Now maybe you don't like that, so what you do is there's a little button here. You turn that off, and when I close the door, staircase doesn't fold, so it doesn't stow. So you can disable that if you don't want that. Okay. All right, so going in here to show you a little bit on the windows and the hatches that we have. So all the windows have high quality expedition grade blinds. So these are magnetic, so you have to use some force. Goes down, goes up, right? And here we also have half and half, of course, but it's also designed so it doesn't like have those wrinkles and stuff. It's extremely durable material. The windows, aluminum, aircraft grade aluminum handles. These handles are designed for beating. They're not going to break. And when you open, you can open, it opens on a strut, which is a very heavy duty strut. Dual pane glass, no acrylic plastic stuff in here. Now look at the window and the depth of the window and the window frame. So the way we do it is there's an external frame and there's an internal frame. So when the window comes in from outside, we put another frame from the inside on top of it. And between this frame and the white frame, there is what's called a polyamide layer. What that does is it stops any thermal bridging. So there's no thermal bridging happening from here to here, from outside to inside, and that's very important. The struts are heavy duty. They're not cheap quality struts. They're very heavy duty. The frame on the inside, not plastic, it's aircraft grade aluminum. Now on this side, we have the hatch above the bed. So if I lay on the bed, that's the hatch. Now this is called a safari hatch. The reason it's called a safari hatch is because when you go on a safari, normally in Africa, you want to have a view where you can see some wild animals. So I could go and actually kneel on the bed and come out through here and have a view like that. That's the Overland Expo right here. And right here we have the window that's built in. So this is in areas where you might have bugs and stuff. So you don't want to open the hatch. Instead, you open just this window, right? Because you have a blind, right? Okay. So this is a safari hatch. First in the industry, nobody has ever used a safari hatch on a trailer. So of course, for a lot of people, it's kind of a shock, but in a good way, because they have not had this experience before. Another safari hatch right here has a built-in window. Now, if you close that, it's heavy duty, right? And double strut again, so you can get an idea of what we're talking about here in terms of durability. We have more windows here. This is a normal window, very big. Windows open at 90 degrees. Windows open at 90 degrees, and when you close them, no problem with the wind. They close shut like dual pane glass. There we go. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you? How are you?
It's big enough for all of us?
Please, go ahead. I'm gonna get out. We got some people coming in here. They're trying to look at the... If you have any questions, let me know.
Will do. Thank you very much.
We also have a bunk version that we do for the families.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is more like two people here, and then one person can stay here. But the bunk version has 2 bunks at the back, and we move the fridge from there to here.
Okay.
The toilet goes there, full bath goes there, and the kitchen reduces a little bit.
Okay.
So that's the only trade-off you have, is the kitchen is reduced. But not as much. It's still a big kitchen, big enough. But you have room for the kids to sleep, right? Which is important. So you can sleep 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long are you guys out on these?
We started the development 14 months ago.
Okay. Wow.
And
Are you in production?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we did the initial founder series, which was for the people that have been following us for 14 months.
Yeah.
And we did a special pricing for them.
Okay.
So normally it's $120,000, and we said, well, you know what? Because they've been following, you have to lift that latch up, lift up. No, close. and lift it up, that locks it. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So we did a $99,000 pricing
Awesome.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and technically in 2-3 days we basically kind of.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how far are you out from being able to get one now?
You right now the turnaround time is 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
So basically the way it works is you put down a $15,000 deposit and you do an online account that you create, and once you put down the deposit we assign you a serial number, and then we will upload photos and videos as your actual production is happening, because we want to have that transparency. Yeah, these are actually expedition locks, so this won't open until, and they have dual shocks on the actual, when it closes, so it doesn't open by itself until you really do that. So that's kind of important when you're doing off-road. We have our RREV panel here, which is basically custom design in-house. Everything in the trailer is run with Victron equipment, but we wrote our own software because we think that there's stuff that Victron doesn't tell you.
Gotcha.
For example, the tank levels is always, I have 10% water, but what does it mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember how many gallons I have, the tank capacity, right? And so we wrote algorithms like that to tell you how many gallons you have, right? Things like very simple things. All the lighting is up here. So every wire in this trailer is hard-coated and soft-coated. So if you had a problem with the fridge or the light or anything, we will know exactly where that problem is, and we will allow you to be able to check that wire or that fuse. This is important because when you're off-road, you're 100 miles out from civilization. This dealership does no good to me, or service center. So I need you to be able to do it, or send someone out to you. So we have a service network that we're building, where on this panel right here you will have, because it has GPS, so it will pick up the nearest service person, and we're trying to tie in small, medium businesses that can do that, because they can go out and help you.
Sure.
Right? Instead of you trying to, how can you go back 100 miles?
Yeah.
But we've also removed a lot of the failure points that we thought there would be. Mm-hmm. This is a 24-volt system. We don't run 12-volt. The reason we do 24-volt is because it runs cooler. Mm-hmm. Everything in the camper runs on DC.
Okay.
Only time we have a 3,000-watt inverter that sits in here. And this inverter is really probably never going to be used that much. So the 3,000-watt inverter basically runs only when you need to run the induction or the optional electric oven. We have a brain in here we designed. It's a CPU module that we use that runs the whole camper. Now it's designed, if it fails, for whatever reason, things fail, all we do is we reprogram it for you, ship it to you, you just plug the cables in.
That's pretty cool.
And it goes back online, right? And all the systems are local and non-local. So what that means is basically all your access in here only needs a router. You don't need internet. But if you are away from the camper, we also give you remote access. So you can remotely control all the things. Now, if you left the camper and you left the light on, right, you could build automation saying, because we have presence sensors and humidity sensors and temperature sensors, to save the battery, it will just turn that light off, right? Same thing with we run the Truma diesel heating for air and water. We don't use the instant one, we use the one with the reservoir tank. Because when you're taking showers, sometimes with the instant ones, the problem is all of a sudden you're now feel cold, right? Because it's cold water coming out, because it's not keeping up. So we have a reservoir one that always keeps the hot water flowing over. And for the air, we have 3 ducts here that provide heat, hot air. There's one on top of the fridge there, and there's one inside the bathroom. So when you're on a cold day, you're taking a shower, you're coming out, you're not freezing. So that vent is a Venturi one that you can close if you don't need it.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? Did you see the shower in there, bathroom? Yeah. And this table here is a hydraulic table, and you can bring it down like that.
And then can you use the platform just like that?
Yes, because we have supports that are on 2 sides here. It's not just sitting on that leg. but it's supported on both sides, and it has a hydraulic control right here. Fridge is a DC fridge. It's fully like a full fridge, full size, right? Yeah. Big freezer in there, and there's a full size fridge in here. This fridge uses maybe half an amp when it's not when it's cold already. Yeah. And you have different settings based on what the outside temperature is. You also have night mode or boost mode. So sometimes you may never use boost mode in this camper because the walls are 2.3 inches thick, the floor is 3 inches thick, the ceiling is 3 inches thick. All the windows are expedition isolated from the external environment. So once you cool this unit, it remains cold. Yeah. So that's why our AC is so efficient, our heating is so efficient, because we have kind of removed the thermal losses as much as we can. Thermodynamics is tricky. You can never remove 100%. That's not going to happen. So this is why also we use dual pane glass, because if you use acrylic windows, they're not thermally efficient. Yeah. And dual pane glass will do a much better job. But there's still thermal loss that always happens. Yeah. But a lot of times people tend to say, well, maybe I need more power, more battery, more propane, more. I think that's backward thinking. What you have to think is, how do you retain heat? How do you retain coolness? Sure. So you're running efficiently. Yeah, the whole point is to run efficient, right? So, so we kind of took all that into account, and you have your electric oven here. Yeah. It's a full-size oven that's optional. You can also have a microwave air fryer accessory that goes in there. The induction, great for kids because it's outside. I'm sure you saw the outside kitchen, the same thing. We have stainless steel tanks that we use. This is our water tank for the drinking water, and we run pickup lines from the top all the way to the bottom. So a lot of times you are told, you have 50-gallon tank, but then you have hole being drilled at the bottom, which has to be above the floor of the tank. Yeah. That water is never used. Yeah. It's sitting there because you can't pump it out. So what we did is we put an automotive style, marine grade style pickup line, like a fill tank. Yeah. So you can use we leave, I think it's 1.5 millimeter at the bottom. So you can use. Now, we also use a QF filtration system which filters the water. So you fill the tank from outside, and there's a carbon filter, and then there's a UV filter. For the kids, it's more important because it kills 99.9% of the bacteria.
Well, this is really cool, man. I appreciate you taking the time. These are slick. I'm sure you guys are on Instagram and stuff. I'll give you a follow.
Yeah, we have a Facebook group. Okay. Yeah, and if you go on the group, you can see the whole history of how we started.
That's awesome. We'll definitely go.
And we've made sure everything is out there, because transparency has been kind of the pinnacle of what we've been doing. Sure. So you'll be able to see the joints we've done, how we put the panels together, all that kind of stuff. How we joined them. Be careful. There you go.
All right. Hey, thanks again. This is great.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Here's a.
Oh, thank you.
You can scan that QR code, and you have. Yeah. All right, so I think you saw the fridge here already. You saw the. Let's go to the bathroom here. So you have a cassette toilet, which is standard, but you can convert this and not have a cassette toilet. Instead, you can have a composting toilet. So we don't do a cutout for the cassette on the outside. You just have. Now, these walls are hard mounted. You can hard mount stuff. So I'm going to try to work this out a little bit. Same thing with the ceiling. It's 3 inches, right? So it's pretty strong. Bathroom. Shower. The shower has an automatic dehumidifier. So it takes care of the humidity by itself. Here's the shower. It's a full-size shower. There's a shower floor to make the shower a little bit more comfortable rather than stepping on the plastic shower pan. Now, this is an interesting part of the design that we did. This dehumidifier exhaust fan is mounted in a way where the duct is between. You can see the ceiling, right? and you can see the bathroom ceiling. It's a bit lower, and the reason is we didn't want to cut out holes in the roof, so we put a duct between the roof and the ceiling of the bathroom so it can vent out. Okay, so that's why the bathroom is a little lower than the actual ceiling on the outside. 6.58 feet, I believe, is the ceiling is clean. Like I mentioned before, there's no holes made in the ceiling at all, because we don't need them. The AC itself is sitting on the back. The roof is all solar. These are the two bedside windows. I want to show you a little bit about the water systems. Okay, so no plumbing on this, because it's a true four-season from minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit to 120 degrees. Okay, there's no plumbing on the outside. It's clean. I think earlier I showed the chassis below, and you could see there's no pipes anywhere. So this is our water system right here. This is something I'm really happy about how it turned out. So we have two stainless steel tanks. We don't use plastic tanks or polymer tanks or whatever they are made of, polyurethane. And these tanks are easy to clean, so you can clean from the top. That's the buffer tank, and that's the main tank. Over it runs a duct from the Truma diesel heater. So minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit, these tanks are not going to freeze. And the same approach we use is pickup lines. There are no lines at the bottom or anything like that. Okay, and this allows for you to be able to have a tank that's actually durable for a long time. And also we did the buffer tank because sometimes you take short trips, but also for redundancy. Let's say one of the pipes fails on one of the tanks, or the pump fails, you can use the other one, right? So you're not without water. That's very important if you're on an expedition and you're far away from civilization. So you got to have solutions that can help you. Now on this side, you saw the drinking water has its own marine grade pump. We have two marine grade pumps in here. There's a strainer tank, so this makes sure that your pump is not getting stressed. Okay, this is to make sure you always have pressure without the pump clicking all the time. Here you have very simple valves that you turn, open and close in order to use different pump for redundancy or water from one tank or the another. This is our Truma diesel heater that heats the water and the air, and that heater is basically located here, and the whole idea is to have that heater also create some heat, and it spreads around if we really are like below, I don't know, minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit or something. Under here we have a massive storage that we can use. And this is the brainchild. I think I did a video on this already. Very proud of this. This is a big deal. We had people from Dematic and other electric companies come here, and they're like, how on earth did you do this? And we're very proud of it. I'm very happy about it. And I think we're setting a standard just not for the expedition trailer, off-road trailer stuff, but also for other industries. People are really excited to see what we've done with the Victron system. I don't remember if I showed you, but everything on this trailer is Victron equipment, but we don't use Victron panels. Our battery is a grade A cell that's custom designed with CAN bus system that talks to all this stuff, right, to make sure that they're in sync, because most of the time is when you have different appliances and different things, they're not in sync. So that's important. Now, other thing we've done is made sure that we have enough light and air moving. That's the other important reason we did these big hatches. Now all these are automotive seals. You can go to Napa, get them, replace them. But cold, dirt, dust, rain, water, nothing is coming through here. It's not getting on this side. That's something that's been the center of all this, to make sure it's fully sealed, so that you don't allow cold to get in, or heat to get in, or heat to get out. The sealing itself, is 3 inches. It makes sure that you don't have that kind of an issue. Hi, Ian. Nice to meet you.
Ian, hey, JC.
Oh,
Yeah.
how can I help you?
No, I was just talking. I wanted to see the iPad that you got. So I work on Dometic Mobile Power Solutions.
Right.
I'm on that side of the business, right?
Okay.
And I was told that you've you've cracked an algorithm on your Victron. And
Yes.
somebody said you got to go see what they're doing over there because and we need to hire that guy on our software.
Oh,
engineering
I'm not for hire, and I'm very expensive.
Well, that's okay because I can't hire
No,
people.
I'm just kidding.
No, actually, I can hire people, but it's so much easier for us to just find consultants.
Sure.
But no.
Well, we got a
show
lot
us-
to do right now, but I'm happy to show you. Where are you from, Dometic?
Yeah.
So what do you do at Dometic?
I run the aftermarket for their mobile power.
Mobile
division.
power. Okay. So basically, what we've done is every equipment that we have here is Victron.
Yeah.
And I'm also on Facebook Live. So is that okay?
Facebook Live, yeah.
So let me just. I don't know how to do this. Hi. So this is, what's your name? Sorry.
JC Nori.
He's from Dometic, and one of his guys came earlier, and he's interested to see what we've done with the panel here. He just came now, so if you want to tag along, that will be nice for you to kind of get idea as well what we've done and why he's here. He's here because he wants to kind of get an idea. First of all, he wants to hire me, but I said I'm not for hire. And second of all, but I think most importantly, he's wondering about his customers, how they can do something similar in terms of what we've done with this. So all the equipment in here is Victron.
Yep.
Yeah, so Victron, has an open source Venus OS system.
Right. Yeah.
So we've tapped into the Venus OS system using the Canvas system, using the RS-485 communication ports to be able to get all that data.
Okay.
And once we get that data, then we've written algorithms to do certain things. For example, normally the Victron MPPD will charge the batteries, right? And the solar is on, it's charging the batteries. And then it's taking the loads, right? We have done something interesting. What we've told Victron is, once the battery is at a certain percentage, I want you to stop charging the thing.
Okay.
Instead, take care of the loads. I want you to preserve that battery and not cycle it until it gets dark.
Okay.
What that does is it prolongs the life of the battery.
Mhm.
It's not like in floating forever.
Right.
Yeah, and also it's not wasting energy, because imagine it goes to battery, from battery goes to loads, and it's kind of complicated.
Right.
Right? So what it does is, on our Victron Links distributor, we have, of course, the DC connections that connect to the battery, that connect to the other things. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. And when we do that, what happens is we cut off the battery connection itself, algorithmically.
Going straight load.
Just go straight load.
Yeah.
Do not send it to the battery. So we are also not wasting voltage or amperage going straight
Sure, yeah,
to the load,
yeah.
right? Which is kind of common sense,
Right.
Right? Which is why, so that's why you see we don't have battery and the camper loads in one single entity. It's a different entity. So you have two different things. You have the battery, you have the loads. Right now the battery is at 98%. Solar charge is floating. It's floating, of course, because the battery is almost full, and it's going, all the loads are being taken care directly by the solar.
Okay.
There's no reason for it to go to the battery, then go there, right?
Right.
Same thing with the grid and the DC to DC. If you have an onboard DC charger already that works with it, then we crunch this data as well. If you are kind of a geek like me and you want to know exactly the numbers, you can actually also tap in there to get the history of where you're at and what you're doing and all that kind of stuff, what it's been doing since whenever. You can put different kinds of parameters here, but all this data is coming from Victron,
Okay.
right? And then we also have the tank sensors here, but we don't just tell you what percentage, we tell you actually how many gallons you have left, because most of the times percentage is not understandable.
help, yeah.
It doesn't help unless I remember how many gallons I have, full tank, and I remember how to do the math, which is not why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? I shouldn't be worried about it. Then we have temperature and humidity sensors that manage the the interior temperature, and we're able to tell the heater to turn on, but it doesn't just turn it on, it also thinks about the battery life. It's not going to drain the battery.
Okay.
Right? So it has limitations. So if the battery state of charge reaches, let's say, I don't know, 70%,
Right.
stop heating. Don't do that because I may need power for something else.
Yeah.
So we're taking basically the caring for if I have enough power during the night, being worried about if I have enough battery power, taking that out of the equation. Let the system control it. Now every switching and all that stuff happens directly from here,
Okay.
right? Also integrate on the same platform that we use. Now it's not just switching. What we also do is we make sure every wire in this camper has a serial code.
Okay.
And that code is also coded in the software.
Okay.
So if a light is out, I know why it's out. The
Okay.
fuse is blown or the connection is loose, all that kind of stuff. So that stuff is part of what we built here.
Okay.
Now we can also add more stuff in terms of data. If you wanted to customize it, for example, you're like, I don't like these numbers, they're too much. I just need something like this. So we can do that as well. So it's customizable because every
Gotcha,
client,
it's got a different, yeah, okay,
correct,
okay.
every
Okay.
client has their own. Now this runs locally and remotely. Locally because you might not have internet,
Sure.
right? So your router is on, we use the local IP address for you to access it. But if you're away from your camper and you want a remote access, for the first 5 years, we give you remote access for free.
Okay.
After 5 years, you pay $60 per year to have remote access. Why? Because we use SSL. We don't want anyone to be able to access anything on the camper side. So we use a service that will allow us to be able, for 5 years, you don't pay anything, right? And also in terms of AC energy data, you have all these things coming from the Victron, but it's shown differently, it's calculated. But these are algorithms that we wrote to crunch that data that Victron sends, because it's a raw data, right?
Right.
We have to convert it into something meaningful,
Sure,
something
yeah.
useful. So yeah, that's it. That's a little bit of a preview. We also do over-the-air updates. So if you, this tablet can have a SIM card and you can get an over-and-over.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so you can have new updates. Our CPU module, which sits in the inverter box, if that fails, we program one for you. We have your serial number. We ship it to you. You just plug in the wires. It will just go back online, no problem. You don't have to troubleshoot anything. Sometimes what happens is your solar charger is not charging. And you're like, hey, what's the problem? You can't figure it out, right?
Right.
We can tell what the problem is.
Remotely.
Exactly. Because Victron has a troubleshooting algorithm built into there, so we can read from that what the problem, but you can't because it's embedded in there, right? So that's why we did all this stuff to be able to manage all the energy.
That's genius. It's great. It's great.
I mean, it's simplicity, right?
It's one of the sexiest uses of the
Open source system,
Open source
right?
of the-
But it's a
yeah.
lot of work.
That's why I'm saying like that. Here, let me give you my card. Do you
Please,
have
yeah. I have a sticker out there, and yeah, if you want to email me, you can email me. You can leave me your email. It's fine, not a problem. But yeah, if you need anything like this, and if you need any help, I'm happy to help. You know, one of the things that we have done in building this whole thing is not to try and hide stuff that we don't want anybody to have. I think overall for the industry, it's a good thing if we can do this, like, raise some standards, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you go in any camper, there's that big Victron panel and it's telling two things to you. Wow, a great system. Yeah, it's a great system, but it can do more. So you've spent thousands of dollars to read two numbers.
Right.
When it can tell you 10 different numbers that are useful and you paid for it already. So we're making that available to our customers.
No, that's what's amazing about it. So I think you've done some really good job. Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Well, thanks for showing me.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
Following up.
Oh, please do, please do.
Your name again was
Ian.
Ian.
Yeah.
JC.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Facebook people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry. So I had to explain a little bit about the panel. Everybody who has seen this system in this expo has been really blown away by what we've done here. And it's not bragging, you know what I mean? It's sharing what we've done with others, and hopefully they can benefit from it, right? And again, A lot of people might say, hey, well, what's the need for all this? It's nonsense. Well, okay, it may be nonsense for you, but it can be a lifesaver for somebody else, right? I have a problem with my solar charger. Now I don't have battery charging. I want to know what happened. But I can't know because I don't have that knowledge. So if we can help, if this system can help, I don't see a problem, okay? So I think that's so important to think about when you're doing these kinds of things, because you depend on. So when I was starting this project and thinking about what might be happening in terms of breaking down, so there are things that break down right away. So we took all those failure points, and electrical is a big failure point on all these rigs. Plumbing is the second biggest failure on these rigs. The mechanical parts are the third biggest. So all that stuff we've kind of tried to take care of, make sure that we don't have that problem. I think I went over the wheels, the suspension already. What else can I tell you? Okay, I might actually go up on the roof. So this is our ladder. So on the roof we have full 3 solar panels, but we can have the fourth one here where we have the Starlink now, and this fourth panel will actually, and by the way, all the panels are mounted, there are no holes, they're mounted directly to the side rails, there are no holes made on here. You could put a fourth panel here, then you have 1850 watts of solar, right? Panels are huge, they're 52 volt each, and they are, you can add 1850 watts of solar. What else can I tell you? Yeah, the awning is optional. It's optional because some people told me they don't want an awning because those awnings are no good to them, so they want to build their own. So what we're going to do in the production versions is we're going to put D-rings up there on the corners so you can hang your own awning. Let's come here. This is our outdoor kitchen. So yeah, it's not big because you don't need big kitchen. Why do you need a big kitchen? Unless you want to invite a colony of people. But anyway, so this is our outdoor induction. There's a wire in here that you take out and you connect it. There are 2 outlets here that you can connect to, right? This is a manual control for the air suspension, so we can raise and lower. 4 independent. Those are suspension gauges. This is our air compressor. I think I showed it earlier. Here we have this little place where you can, if you wash dishes, you put them there, then you're able to basically let that drain out. Hot and cold water here for the wash basin here. There's a little compartment here for if you need to store some stuff. This storage is my favorite because you have a lot of room in here, and it's open from the top as well. That's our rain collection system. So when it's raining, you can collect the rain here. We can connect this to the tank, and all that rain will be collected and fed to the tank. We're going to put a valve. You can send it outside, or you can fill your tank. So that's that. Of course, the Trailer Valet, my favorite jack, 7,000 pounds. You can do a swivel one, or you can do one like this. We did one like this for the expo because a lot of people going in and out and stuff, so this is beefier. The one that swivels is only 5,000 pounds, still pretty good, but it's just probably much better than the swivel one for this application here. You can also mount a center jack if you like that kind of thing. Here, of course, the DO45, my favorite jack. There is a line for 7-pin. There's a 50 amp DC to DC charger ready for you to charge the batteries. Okay, and we have a tank plate here, and there's a hole right here. It's for a future thing that we're doing. I can't talk about it now, but it's a future thing that we're doing. When we get to that, I will talk about it. But there's a space for it already. It's going to be very cool. Now, also, at the end of the year, we're going to bring ABS to the trailer. That's the suspension. Oh, I left my glasses down there when I was there earlier. So that's the suspension. It's really, you can, I mean, I don't need to tell you, but you can't beat that in terms of strength, sturdiness, travel. It took 5 to 10 iterations to get to this. This wasn't easy. But hey, good stuff is not easy. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes intuition, it takes creativity, it takes a lot of things. And we did what we needed to do. And in terms of the components, we didn't cheap out on things. We made sure that we're using the best in the industry. All the wheels are balanced. We use metal stems. We use oil bearings. The wheels are rated much higher than anything you will find anywhere. The tires, the best in the industry. Okay, and I'm going to give you a little bit of the outside view. So that's your hatch open there. I'm happy about how the compressor sits in there. It's away from moisture. It's away from all the stuff that could damage it. We use 36 bolts on the outside that grab the panel to the floor. There's a steel channel here that makes sure that this wall is rigidly attached, because a lot of times I've heard that people use rivets. I'm not sure how you can rivet a composite panel, so we basically did a through and through bolt. This is a through and through bolt that is bolted on the other side. There's 36 of them on each side, and the goal is to keep the panels in place, to give the structural rigidity. So when you see these frames, these windows, they're not just windows, they're structure. Each frame, this aluminum frame, gives rigidity and strength to the wall. Okay, a lot of people don't understand that, but that's the engineering part of it, where it's important to understand why we did what we did. So we have a massive window here, but this massive frame acts as a structure. It keeps the panel in place, intact. Nobody I know in the industry has done this. And you know, you can use long panels and they work perfectly fine. But we added a little bit more structure. So this is the back wall right here, before you go to the mold, which is the signature feature of the Baja Edition. And this right here is basically an aluminum extrusion. Behind it is the panel. And the joint on the inside, there's a material called a polyamide in the middle. Polyamide is perhaps one of the most expensive materials that you can use to build a thermal brake. And there are 9 molds of polyamide on this trailer. Okay, each mold costs $2,000. Okay, so it's not cheap. It's not cheap, and it's not like you look at something from the outside. There's a lot of work and engineering and creativity that has gone into this to make it what it is. Okay, on the panels, when we build the box, there are no windows, no doors, no nothing, but we do the cutouts, and then we twist the box. And the reason we twist the box is to check for the joints. I want to know one manufacturer that does that. But it's hard. It's hard because if you're doing mass production, you can't do it one by one. Imagine that. That will take years, ages. But that's why we're not going to do mass production. We are focused on building a community, doing stuff that matters, you know, doing stuff that will help the community, and we can have some of the coolest engineering projects. These are engineering projects. These are engineering masterpieces, in my opinion. You can call it what you want, but in my opinion, in all the work that I've done in 14 months, I think nobody knows what we've done in the 14 months when we got started. Okay, you can really not tell from the outside looking at it just what's gone into it. A lot of stuff that we've done has been thought thoroughly and based on the experience. For the last 5 years, I've done extensive expeditions in my expedition vehicle, in my trailer, and in those 5 years, I've learned something. And that's what fails, what works, what doesn't work. And then from my background as an engineer, as a physicist, and all that kind of stuff, which is something that I don't talk about much, it's important to use the theoretical side and blend it with the practical side. So fortunately, I'm fortunate enough to have both. And, as a builder, I tend to go to extremes to find the limits and try to figure out what I can do and what I can't do. And this is the Gen 1. I think the Gen 2 will be even better, right? But yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of what we've built here. And for some of you who weren't able to see it, or are not going to be able to probably see it, because we don't have inventory. It's order-based. You order, we build it. Right now, the unit that you're seeing, it's somebody being gracious enough to lend it to us because it's sold already. Lend it to us to be able to show it here, right? So I really am grateful for all the people that have been following this project for such a long time. And I'm really proud that we've gotten to this point where I think we've built something. This expo really has given me exposure to something that I never thought. There has been a common denominator for hundreds of people that have walked into Kemper. What they've said is, they've not seen anything like this before. So that makes me happy. It makes me happy because that means we've done something right. It's not a perfect trailer, but it is well designed for what it needs to do. It is well designed in terms of practicality, in terms of functionality. There's redundancy. It means freedom. It means that you can actually go in, tow your trailer, 5,900 pounds of dry weight, load it up, go off, and forget about the rest, and actually have the freedom to enjoy and explore in the nature and do the things that you love to do. And that's what this is for. Go on a long expedition to a place that's like 1,000 miles, 2,000 miles away from where you are at. Can it endure all that stuff, right? Go on off-beaten roads that don't really exist, right? And all that kind of stuff is, I think, critically important, and it gives you freedom to be able to achieve that. All right, I'm going to stop my rant now. If you have any questions, just let me know. Like I've always said, I'm not into arguing. I'm not into saying, hey, this is the best, that's not the best. That's not who I am. What I am is all about is what is it that we can do the best. Okay? And also, I tend to listen to people even if they might think I'm not listening to them. And I tend to build stuff that are more practical, that have practical sense to them. They're things that have application. And I've built 3 or 4 companies in my career, and this is one of those things that has been more of a passion project than a career. The way we priced this trailer is purely based on that as well. If we had gone through dealerships and all that kind of stuff and do that, the price would be much higher. We're not doing that. Why do we need to do that? I'm not in a horse race. I want people who are really going to use it, buy one. Otherwise, there's 1,000 other options. Just go buy something else if it's not for you. This is why we also took the city water connection out. I don't want people to take it to campgrounds, even if you have an emergency. Well, right? Sometimes you want to go and you can go, that's fine. But you can always use your water from your tanks. So I'm not going to argue about, is it a necessary element to have on a trailer? I don't think it is, right? So basically, the whole point of my ranting is, and saying all this stuff is, that you have to judge, you have to look at the thing, touch it, feel it, and then tell me what you think. Okay. And I think we've done an incredible job. I have no doubt, because people in this expo have really shown us what we've done. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy about it. So thank you for listening to all the stuff that I had to say. I just wanted to do a little tour as well, to give you a little bit of an idea of what this thing is all about. So thank you. Thank you.